We've decoded the intel from the First Order spy, and it confirms the worst. Somehow
Context.
returned.
Yeah, we're back. Hello, everyone. It has been a long while, but welcome back to Context. And yes, the title is not clickbait. I promise you, it is indeed real. This is a comic from the mid 80s, and the 80s was pretty edgy. So, yeah, it's some stuff you're gonna see that's not that they couldn't get away with during our current modern time. But yeah, we're gonna get right into it. The story begins with Professor Xavier doing one of his lectures at Columbia University, where he's teaching psychology. And during the lecture, he hears a thought from one of his students that they're planning to, what does everyone say now? Unalive someone? But he doesn't know which one of the students is having that thought. Now, you might be thinking, what do you mean he doesn't know which one of his students is having that thought? Can't Professor X literally read minds? Isn't that his whole thing? Isn't he a psychic, like one of the most powerful psychics ever? Well, yes, but a couple issues back, he actually got mugged and beaten up pretty badly. And since then, he seems to have had issues controlling his powers. I don't know if it's like an emotional thing or what, but he actually has to take medication to dull his powers so he doesn't hear everyone's thoughts. So he can't really read minds very well yet. Now, I'm going to pause here to explain the mugging thing. Now, that takes place in Uncanny X-Men issue 192. You're probably turning gears in your head thinking, how did this happen? Professor X is such a powerful mutant. He's one of the most powerful mutants ever. How could anyone get the drop on him? Maybe they had some kind of psychic blocker helmet like Magneto, or some secret power or intricate complex plan where they tricked him. And the reality of this, the reality is that they threw a brick at him. And he couldn't think because, he just had a brick thrown at his head, so so they beat him up. So I'm noticing in old comics that incredibly powerful characters just be getting jumped by regular people, just regular everyday people. That might need a context episode in and of itself, but I digress. They have to figure out who the killer is. Oh, and also, before I forget, there's some side plots going on in this. Like Storm is in Africa in this comic and gets shot in the head by poachers or something. It doesn't matter, right? You're probably not here for this side plot or the one of Nightcrawler going through incredible mental trauma from knowing Beyond It can just destroy galaxies and basically is kind of a god. So there's some doubt in his faith about God from the Bible. It's a whole thing. That might be a story for another time, but for right now we're gonna just focus on the main task at hand. So anyway, back in New York at a restaurant, Professor Xavier is having lunch with his X-Men, and he has a plan to find the student that's gonna try to unalive someone, right? So he puts together a list of all of his students and where they live, and is that legal? Can you do that? Can you just put together a list of all your students and where they live? I mean, maybe. I think that's a little suspect to be doing that, but Kitty Pryde actually is here, and she brings up a point that not about the stalking of the students thing, but that Kitty Pryde then proceeds to ask the professor, why doesn't he just mind probe the students, but he gives them, kind of a dumb excuse of, it's a delicate he's going, he's trying to do a delicate experiment and he can't use his powers right now. I think maybe he's trying to hide the fact that he got kind of beat up. But he has no choice but for the X-Men to go out there and basically spy on his students to see which one is the unaliver of the bunch. So they all go out to try to find this student, but they're having very little success. Wolverine and Kitty Pryde especially, they're starting to get a bit discouraged, but she does manage to sneak a few puffs of Logan's cigar during their conversation. She immediately regrets it afterwards, but yeah, Kitty is like 15 here, so this is definitely something you couldn't get away with now. Eventually, Kitty goes off to spy on the next group of students on the list by doing the whole phasing through walls thing to get into the school. But immediately the students sensibly wonder, what the heck is she doing in the building in the first place? Like, the building was locked and the alarms was set. And she just is like, oh, guys, I mean, I bypassed it, obviously. I mean, that's easy. Like, I know this stuff like the back of my hand. But absolutely none of them are buying it. And a student named Phil actually steps forward and is like, whoa, wait, hold on, wait. Aren't you in Professor Xavier's school? She says, all right, yeah, whatever. He's like, wait, are you a mutant? Are you a mutie? And so this is where it happens. So Kitty Pryde snaps back, you know what? I don't know, Paul. Aren't you a nice person? I gotta say, this was really shocking to read in the X-Men comic. I'm not a huge X-Men fan, so hey, maybe they're just throwing this out everywhere. But this was a pretty crazy thing to read. I mean, it's definitely, like I said, it's definitely a product of the time, because there's 3 things in this one comic that you can't get away with now. One, 15-year-old smoking. I don't think that'd be very tolerated right now. 2, I mean, obviously the slur. You can't do that. And then 3, I don't know if you've noticed, but Kitty Pryde is wearing a full-on mullet. Why people thought this was fashionable, I have no idea. I really don't. But the other, there's 2 things on this list that's forgivable, and the mullet isn't one of them. But yeah. So Kitty, when the pressure, gets on her, she's like, hey, you know what, guys? I'm gonna leave now. I'm gonna take my leave. And surprise, surprise, that doesn't go quite her way, because this is the bad eggs. Like, these are the bad group of students that they've been trying to find. And apparently saying, hey guys, you better back up, because, I might be a mutant with scaly powers. It doesn't really stop people, from jumping you. So not only do they mace her, but they try to chloroform her. And they do it so quick that she actually, apparently can't phase or do anything. So these guys have these like godlike powers, but as soon as they get a slight disruption, it's like, oh no, I can't use them. First Xavier with the brick, and now Shadowcat with. I mean, I guess at least I feel like the mace and the chloroform might make a little bit more sense, but still weird, still very weird. Anyway, so they're chloroforming her, and meanwhile, while this is happening, while she's getting pretty much kind of jumped by this group of students, the other X-Men they kind of big chilling. They just they kind of sitting down, not really like they're not even looking for students at this point. I don't think they're just like man, this whole thing, I don't even know if we're gonna find anybody. It's pretty crazy that the contrast and what is going on. But thankfully, right before the worst happens, Rachel Summers comes in. And if you don't know who Rachel Summers is, I mean, it's not important. Let's not get into that whole can of worms. But she's another psychic, and she comes in, beats up all the students. She erases all of their memories of the incident even happening in the first place, and then just leaves. Like, what a boss. What a boss move. But yeah, that is the context of Kitty Pryde saying a slur. I would suggest reading the comic, because there's a good bit of stuff that I kind of lulled over to get to the main point of this episode. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Sorry for the long hiatus. And yeah, we're back. I mean, I probably said we're back like five times before, so we'll see if we're actually back. But we're at least back for right now. And yeah, all I gotta say is that if they put like based Kitty Pryde in X-Men 97 season 2, it's gonna be wild. Oh yeah, one other thing I forgot to mention is that this isn't a one-off for Kitty Pryde. She's actually said this same word like 2 other times. Yeah, incredibly based.